Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So we are on to tier 8 with our Barbarian archers, and these are what they call the Night Hunters, not Game of Thrones. So yeah, kind of strange these guys. I've only had a couple of games with them so far, but I kind of wanted to make a video at the start, and then particularly when we get to the high tier units, it takes so long to get through all the different grades because there's an awful lot to upgrade on these guys, and not a lot carries over. I'll make another couple of videos as we progress through and see how my opinion of them changes. I think initially I find them pretty disappointing compared to the tier 7s. I think the tier 7 ambushes for the Barbarians are a hyper strong archer unit. I think they really are very good, and it's going to be kind of hard to surpass them as a unit. The ambushes had that really high weapon damage, good rates of fire, which just meant they could apply that damage consistently. And really it was that high weapon damage for me that made them love them, because that made it always surpass basically enemy armour, and particularly when you're shooting units in the back, no one had that body armour value at like 177, something like that, and particularly when you combined it with Ambush's Fury, then or Flurry or whatever it was, then it became very powerful. Now the base weapon damage on these guys is notably lower. We still have got one bow upgrade, so we're going to gain them the +5 weapon damage compared to... No, +5, +4. Yeah, +4. So we're only going to go from, what are we now, 162 to 168. No, to 166. God, my maths is all over the place. Obviously we're running with consumables, which gives the increased weapon damage, but yeah, kind of disappointing really in terms of the total weapon damage. And the reason that's important is, I know I've explained this multiple times, but effectively, when you're shooting at a unit, say pick a tier 8, Barbarian is probably not the best example, but they have, let's pick a Roman because it will show good on the body armour. So if I pick Sulla, please, oh god, can I pick a unit that's got good body armour? Here we go, the cavalry. So they have 128 plus 17, so that means 130, like 145 around about the body armour. Then you're adding their shield armour of another 40, so they're like 185, 180, 185. Which means frontally you're not going to do any damage to them, but if you shoot them in the rear you're going to get a good amount of damage. But the tipping point of that is around 140, 150. You know, Roman infantry, particularly at tier 8, as armor values start to increase, be about 140, 150. And if your weapon damage doesn't exceed that, then you're only going to be doing base penetration damage, in which case it's about, I think it's about 17 for Greeks and about 20 for Barbarian archers. And this is the biggest problem with Greek archers, is their weapon damage tends to be that bit lower, which means they often only do base weapon damage against units like Romans. With the Barbarians, particularly like the tier 7 ambushes, that weapon damage was sufficiently high that it exceeded the body armour. And obviously for every point you exceed their body armour, then that's a point of damage. So you don't have to exceed it very much before you're doing almost double the amount of damage, because if you can get 20 points weapon damage and 20 points penetration damage, then you're suddenly doing double the amount of damage output of, say, the Greek archers, even though your weapon damage is only 5-10% higher than them. So that's kind of that tipping point is what I'm on about when I say I think it's important to get above a certain value, of which these guys, I think they do just about. They're just high enough for it to be acceptable. I kind of wish it was a little bit higher. Now, the one saving grace to help this is the fact that they get a snipe ability, which does give a 15% missile weapon damage increase, which is a lot, and that puts their damage up about mid 180s, and that is good. That is really nice. And obviously that runs for 12 seconds, plus you get a little bit of range bonus as well, 12%, which is nice. Is useful. I mean, you have to really snipe is the one saving grace of this unit, which used properly, you know, enables you to sort of farm damage pretty effectively. So we'll look at that as we get into battle. So far then, it seems that the stats generally aren't really an improvement over the tier 7s. And it's the same as people with the body armour, very slightly higher, but no massive difference. Shield armour pretty similar, although we do get quite an increase on some of the shield armours in things down here. With a very flat shield, we'll probably be going for this because it's compatible with some of the other units. That gives plus 10 shield armor, which is quite nice if you're being shot at. You've got a choice of body armor or movement speed. To be honest, I'm probably going to be going for movement speed. Kind of see how it plays out, but probably movement speed. And possibly we might get the Feral Wolf pelts as well, because of that plus 7 body armor. And more importantly, the missile block chance as well. But yes, the one saving grace of these guys that makes them better is their weapon range. So the limitation of the tier 7 ambushers, I know I'll be better doing this on an external site, but have quite a short range, you know, a base range of 87. You know, they had upgraded bows, which gave, I think, a slight increase to range. No, it didn't give any increase to range, but with the equipment, the consumables, I think it got to about 95. See, when we get to the Night Hunters, it is significantly higher. You know, we are a base weapon range of 110, plus we're getting significant range increases with the bows. It's getting even higher. We'll go up to 8, plus 8 range with the bow, with the upgraded bow once I get it. Plus, with the consumables, I think that gives us another plus 8. Plus, once we run snipe, we're getting that plus 12% missile weapon range ability we didn't have with the tier 7s. So it means it does have a really solid range. So that's kind of really the changes of them. Bit less damage output, much increased range. It's basically the summary. Some people I know will probably much prefer them because they really felt that the range of the ambushes made them hard to play. But I just felt the ambushes were pretty brilliant because you had that damage potential. It was like javelins but with longer range. So let's see how we get on with these guys. Anyway, let's hop into a battle. I think I've talked for more than long enough. And see if we can apply some damage with them at range. So we are loading into the Battle of Georgovia. Just waiting for one of the other players to load in. Not exactly the map I would have picked. It can be a bit tough for archers with all these sort of little terrace levels. Although, interestingly, with Ambiorix obviously and his fight from the shadows, it kind of might work quite well if we can push it close against the cliff. We might be able to get fire onto enemy archers when they can't get return fire onto us. How many cavalry we've got? Oh, just the one unit of cavalry on our team by the looks of it, so hopefully the enemy hasn't got too much cavalry with them either. So hopefully we can have a decent game. Obviously, with the way the tier 8 matchmaking changes, you know, we are always going to be top tier with these guys, which is pretty nice. You know, you're only going to be facing other tier 8s and other tier 7s. You'll never face tier 9s or 10s. At least with the way the matchmaking is currently being placed. And they have said that they're not got any plans to change it. So hopefully that's the case. But maybe 6 months down the line, if you're watching this in 6 months' time, then maybe that might have changed by then. So where are we going to go? I'm inclined to normally keep to sort of one side if I can, give myself a few options. Not really a map I'm that familiar with. You don't really encounter it very often, and it's only a map you get at higher tiers. And since I haven't got any units above tier 8, I don't often come into it. Quite a bit of the team's coming down this way. No, I'm going to switch at the last second and come down here because at least we've got a little bit of infantry support to maybe hide behind and try and keep ourselves alive. So let's move up, see what we can see. Hopefully not got too many enemy cavalry. We've got some Italian nobles with us on our team. They are notably slower than the ambushes as well. And if you think the ambushes on a road with haste and dash, I could get 7.92 meters a second. I mean that's probably as quick as his cavalry. Yeah, actually the tier 7 units with everything running would run quicker than the Roman cavalry. Which is obviously a little on the ridiculous side. Let's just fire a volley into these guys. So we have some enemy cavalry, Blood Riders. Not the they'll take a good amount of damage from us, but they're obviously very quick, which obviously makes them feel a bit vulnerable. And we've got some Legion cavalry as well, so they've got a lot more. They've got 2 full units of cavalry we've got to watch out for and be fearful of. I'm kind of stuck with these Romans. I've not got anyone else with me, which kind of makes things a little bit difficult, possibly. Let's get a volley over into those guys over here. We have drawn first blood. So doing a good amount of damage on that shot. I'd rather these Romans didn't go forwards. Please don't leave me. Because I feel the rest of the team hasn't really caught up yet. We're going to be getting ourselves a bit too far ahead, and that's going to then leave me exposed to the units. This is a choice. I could go for snipe now. In this situation, because obviously it would give me the increased damage, which would be nice. You know, obviously we do want the increased damage. Let's go for a focus fire because they've gone for a charge, a crippling shot because they've gone for a charge on me. There we go. Okay, that went okay. But if I'd done that in that situation, remember after 12 seconds you're then going to get that 8 seconds of 50% movement speed negative modifier, which is pretty devastating if you're not careful. Alright, let's return fire on these Scythians. You see, damage is good, but is not as good as it was. See, now I have riskily just gone for a snipe to try and get the increased damage on the Scythians, and I think that's probably going to be an error because we've now got these guys coming up behind us. Just get a dash and get the hell out of here because we're taking quite a lot of damage. Where are you going, Ambiorix? We lost Ambiorix. That is very unfortunate. And we've got these guys coming up behind me. What are they? Legionary cavalry. Not exactly what I would have picked. So this situation is just about to get pretty tough. Because we are now surrounded by enemies on one side and our cavalry is retreating. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's get our dash going. Let's try and split ourselves up, to be honest. At least there's only one unit of enemy guys over there. Try and get some focus fire in on these Scythians. See, before I really did not have to fear the Scythians at all with my... oh no, we're out there. Damn. Didn't have to fear them at all with my Barbarian archers because the damage potential on them was just so high that they really just decimated everything they faced off against. Oh, causing a bit of friendly fire there. And we are still in range of these Scythians even out here. That's the problem. The range on these Barbarians is good, but it's no better than the Greeks, which obviously traditionally much longer range than me. And while that normally isn't a problem, because with the ambushes I felt you could sort of sufficiently push up hard and catch up with those units and then apply your damage potential, kind of like just as like a cavalry, a javelin sort of thing. These guys don't quite the same because you don't have that same level of movement speed. I'm in an extremely dangerous position here. I'm going to have to try and make for these units over here. That's probably an error, to be honest, because I'm going to get caught by these Romans here. Let's go for our dash to try and get as much speed as possible. And just got to try and get in and amongst these guys here. At least those cavalry aren't really going to reach me, which they didn't. So let's try and get some damage on them. It's a really tough one. Maybe I shouldn't have used my crippling shot in that sort of situation. I'm better off keeping it. So we've got some Falcons. Oh, keep moving, keep moving. This is where I really wish these guys had a bit more manoeuvrability, because they could really use it. These enemy Falcons look like they're going to get involved, or at least setting us on fire. I'm trying to stay with these tier 8 Roman infantry to try and keep myself alive. But we really are propping ourselves up. This is a bit of a tough battle, this one. Let's keep our haste going, because obviously it gives us that 35% reload rate buff. Because the reload rate on these guys really isn't that great. It's about 4.8 base, and there's no improvements with the bows like there was in the ambushes. And that's all kind of harking back to that. The damage potential is less, the DPS is lower, but the usability is potentially higher in terms of that increased range. It's kind of hard for me to get used to having all this range though, because I'm so used to playing quite aggressive with the ambushes. Why did you stop them? But at least we have one unit still alive. Obviously, because we can apply damage from all this distance away. Disappointed with the damage potential they had against those Scythians though. Let's go for the extra range here, look, in this sort of situation. It just doesn't really apply in quite the same way as it used to. And while we get some damage, it's just not quite the same. Of course, now we've got the consequence of the negative side of our snipe gives us that 50% movement speed modifier. It's pretty painful for 8 seconds before we can get moving again. Obviously, we are going to get that body armor upgrade, which is going to give us an extra 8% movement speed, which is quite a lot. That'll prop us up a reasonable amount. Let's get the volley off there. So these Scythians are still alive in this long grass over here by the looks of things, which we can't yet see. I'm going to try to keep on the safer side of them, really. Keeping some damage on those Romans. Have we got any cavalry around? We don't look like it at the moment. Let's push around this side. I know I'm kind of keeping... oh god, they can still reach me over there. See, their range is as good as mine. You can see the difference. We were kind of on the borderline being able to contact them, so it goes to show kind of how it works. Are they just fighting away from me? They are, to be honest. Yeah, okay, that was a bit silly. If they want to avoid taking damage, then they'll be better off facing away. So if I can get around here, then we might be able to get some more visibility on these Scythians. Let's go for a focus fire range, where we get a bit of damage in on them. I'm just trying to keep out of their effective range, because there are only 1 or 2 volleys and we're pretty well knocked out of this fight. Oh good, looks like our infantry have caught their enemy archers. That could actually be a real turning point in this game. And they are all routing. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That is exactly what we wanted. So let's catch these routing units if we can. We don't want to let them escape. Also, careful to record friendly fire. Let's get these guys before they make their way away. Nice shot in the back there. Trying to keep all my units together to get that maximum damage potential. Obviously, particularly given that the reload rate on these guys is pretty so bad, you need to make sure you're making hits with all your focus fire regularly and things like that. And you can use your crippling shot as well to get as much damage as you want. One shot in that guy. Make sure we don't hit any allies. Good. Okay, so that's the enemies our base dealt with. Yeah, not exactly. It's a bit of a strange game, this one. You don't have many games where you end up with one unit that's got good health left with the other two dead. You normally end up with 3 units, all with about 2 men left. So, a bit of a different situation. Let's get these guys moving up. This is where I miss the speed in this sort of situation. 4 painfully slow. 5.2 with dash activated, but still really not enough. 5.46 without activated. Let's just see. It should be still on when we activate our next round of dash. I guess it's going to put us about low 6s, 6.2, 6.3, something like that. Look, 6.54, so that's not so bad, and that's on a road as well, which is giving us another 4%. But it's a far cry from the near 8 that you got from the ambushes. You know, you're still losing a good meter, 1.5 meters a second, which is quite a lot when you're trying to escape from enemy infantry and stuff. So we'll keep pushing up. It seems like most of the enemies near us are dead. We're just trying to get round to the enemy base now. Keep my dash activated. Thankfully they have that dash. If they didn't have that dash, then I think that would be a real problem. They really needed to keep that. And they do get pretty phenomenal range, I've got to say. It's pretty solid range, particularly with the bonus that you can get with it. It means you can apply it pretty well. See no speed to get up here. Could of course shoot into these at the back of these walls, but I think probably do more damage to the elephants than I would to anyone else. It's like there's a lot left alive in terms of the enemy. Some shots at these cleavers. A little bit far out for me, really. Obviously, Archer's extremely effective against enemy Falksmen. Bit of a risk here. I don't know if we're going to be able to take these guys out in time or not. I was banking on being able to. Go for a crippling shot to try and delay them. Not as delaying as I'd hoped. Oh dear. Go for R dash and speed to try and get away and pull back behind the Roman infantry. These guys are trying to chase me down, but I don't think they're going to make it. No, they're not, and they've used their charge now. There we go, we made it to safety just in time. Got a few units of legionary cavalry kicking around, but I'm conscious about firing to them because I'm more likely just to hit my own units, I think, than I am any enemies. I think they'll soon be dead, so I might as well push around this way and see if we can get into the enemy base or get any mini shots on those Falksmen down in the valley, those cleavers. Yeah, all in all, not too bad a game. We got a bit caught out on that top. We got a bit too deep into a fight with too many enemy cavalry kicking around and not enough sort of people around I could seek defense from. I don't think that was particularly favourable for us. But we got there in the end. We managed to escape with 1 unit left alive still. Let's see if I can catch up with these Falksmen enough to get a shot in. No, I don't think I can. Let's go for the base cap instead. Go for defiance on those AFK Romans. Well, we'll haul a few cap points. We might as well since they're here. Just wait for these Romans to either kill these guys. I guess someone would rather cap out than do that. You do get the 500 points for capping out, so it's understandable. But there we go, victory. So all in all, not too bad a game. Hopefully it kind of highlights a little bit about the range benefits that you get with these guys. I mean, they are long range. It does mean you can fight Greek archers on their own terms in terms of range. We earned 3 eliminated decorations. Woohoo! You can fight enemy Greek archers on their own terms, which is nice. You know, being able to have that range rather than before with the T7s where you had to sort of get close and focus them down, or make use of something like light grass to hide from them until they got within range. But I feel that when you're in range, and now you can actually shoot at them, you cannot apply damage in the same way. Not like those ambushes you could before. You know, they just absolutely ripped the Greek archers to shreds because of that high damage potential once you're in range. It's kind of like javelins versus archers. And that's what I miss with these guys. I really like that high damage potential, and I feel that is now lacking. Maybe we'll get a little bit better with the +4 we get with the next bow. And then when we get some of the speed buffs, it'll be nice. So maybe a little bit of extra body armor, missile block chance. You know, the shield, +10 shield armor is obviously a fairly noticeable amount, and +6 missile block chance is nice as well. So maybe these guys will continue to improve as we get more unlocked. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel for lots more Total War Arena content. And thanks guys, I shall see you all on the next video.